This is the plaintiff, Karen Sackstein. She says she prepared an audit for the defendant's condominium board, and she's refusing payment for her services. She did the work. She issued the draft audit and is suing for the $2,681.96 she's owed. This is the defendant, Susan Tuck. She says the plaintiff jumped the gun on doing this audit before full board approval. And since she didn't actually hire the plaintiff, she doesn't owe her any money. Plain and simple. She is accused of failing to take responsibility.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Ms. Sackstein, you are suing Chestnut Mews Condominium Association, represented here by Susan Tuck, for the cost of an audit that you say you were hired to do, plus a late fee. Talk to me. What happened here?
Correct, Your Honor. I was hired by the Board of Directors in August of 2020 to perform a 2019 audit. I have a signed contract, which was approved at a board meeting, and we began our audit work in October of 2020 and completed our work in February of 2021.
Okay. Who did you hand your contract to sign?
Our contract was sent to Will Buckingham.
Is that who had called you to hire you?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Had you ever done work with Will Buckingham before?
Yes, we had. We had done work for the association back since 2017. In 2017, we prepared an audit. In 2018, the association hired us to do a tax return, which we prepared and were paid for. In 2019, we were also hired to do a tax return, which we prepared and we were paid for. Subsequent to the preparation and payment of that return, Will reached out to me and asked if they could then have an audit. We replied yes and sent him a contract, which was then signed and executed, sent back to us via email.
Okay. And you provided the audit, correct?
Correct, Your Honor. And his signature is on the last page of the contract.
Okay. Now, what was Will's position with the condo association?
He was on the board of directors. I believe he was the president at that time.
Is Will with you?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's put a pin in that a second and let me talk to you, Ms. Tuck. Can you tell me what is going on and why you won't pay this nice lady for work that she performed?
She is a nice lady. I have nothing personally against her. Always been pleasant. What happened was we had decided after the first audit that since it's $3,000, we're a little mom and pop building. We only have 20 units, that if we had any further audits done, that we would vote on it. And despite the fact that it states that it was approved, it was not approved.
I'm sorry. You're going to have to rewind for me. When you say we had decided, who is we?
The board
had decided that you would not do audits unless every board member agreed, or a majority of board members agreed?
A majority of board members
When did
agreed.
the board decide that, and what proof do you have of that? Because normally we would call that an amended bylaws, right? Because bylaws are what condo associations have to go by. And I've actually looked at your bylaws, and it says an audit every year, which you may feel is excessive and I may feel is excessive, but then we amend the bylaws. Did your board amend, because you're now president, right?
Correct.
No.
You're not. No, I'm not president. No.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
the managing agent.
Okay. Well, so are you on the board at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys don't get to just chit chat and change bylaws. So exactly on what theory, other than we're small and we don't have enough money to pay our bills, are you not paying this bill? It looks like the former president signed a contract to pay her. So what defense does the association have? Are you saying he exceeded his authority?
Yes, basically, since the board had not voted by a majority to do the audit. And I understand what you're saying about the bylaws, but these bylaws, so many don't apply to us. It's a boilerplate thing. We did one bylaw, one audit in 20 years.
That's not how, right, I understand. Oh, shucks. What's a few bylaws amongst friends? That's not how associations work. And it's so simple. Amend the bylaws to apply to you and be less boilerplate. That's all you have to do. It's super easy. It's done with a vote. But it sounds, Ms. Tuck, like what you're saying to me is, oh, we chit-chatted about changing it, so William didn't follow the rules, when it really sounds like you're not following the rules by not having amended the bylaws. Put him back up, please. Mr. Buckingham, swear him in, please, will you?
Okay. Can I get you to raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Did you hire her to do an audit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And on what grounds did you hire her to do an audit?
We'd had a board meeting at the end of August. We discussed a variety of things. One of the items was the fact that the audit was still in the bylaws. We discussed it, went over it. 3 out of 5 board members who were in attendance agreed to do it.
Was Ms. Tuck a board member at that time?
Yes, she was.
And was she one of the ones in agreement to do it or not? Oh, I love it. Coming from South Florida, there is nothing I love me more than a good condo association drama. All right. So she was one of the ones who was against it. And then you were for it. And you say 4 out of the what?
3 out of the 5. I have
3 out of the 5.
Secretary's
So
notes.
wouldn't that, in fact, Ms. Tuck, is what Mr. Buckingham's saying true?
Yeah, I don't recall there being a vote specifically. And
do you recall being against spending the money?
I was against doing the audit.
How would it have come up unless someone asked you how you thought about something? Wouldn't that, in fact, be a vote?
I don't recall it coming up at that time that there was a vote, and I said I was against it. I'm personally stating that I was against it along with several.
So is Mr. Buckingham lying when he says that you were there and you voted against it? Who was the other person who was against it, Mr. Buckingham, besides Ms. Tuck?
So at the time, we had 6 board members duly elected. One was not yet there in attendance, but we still had a quorum. Myself voted for it, Mary voted for it, and Janet agreed to it.
Mr. Buckingham, are you no longer president?
No, I sold my condominium unit at the end of October 2020, and at the exact time stepped down from the board and as president.
Okay. So it's the fact that Mr. Buckingham sold his unit that gives you, Ms. Tuck, the nerve to decide you're not going to pay the accountant? What new position are you in where you have the authority to represent the condominium association and say, we shouldn't have done that. I don't think we should have done that, so now we're not going to pay the bill.
What authority do I have? I didn't even know that the audit was going on. I took, I think, around January, February, I was presented with, we needed more information, and I said, for what? I wasn't aware it was even being done.
Right. So what is your position? Do you have the same position now that you had at the time that the audit was ordered in August?
No.
So what is your new position now that all
I'm sorry.
Management. So what you've come in as new management and you became management when?
I think December 2020.
You believe that your management duties include annihilating a contract that is entered into by the former president according to the bylaws as opposed to according to what you wish the bylaws were. Have I got it right? You know what? The condo association is going to pay Ms. Sackstein her fee. Okay? And the way you fix this is you do what your bylaws, which is what everybody bought into when they bought their unit, says to do. And bylaws can be changed. They don't need to be a suicide pact, but there is a method to change. And the method is you have a vote, 75% of the owners agree, and you're not even going to have a problem. Because if I'm an owner, I would agree readily. In fact, here's the irony. Ms. Sackstein agrees readily that this is goofy to do an audit every single year. It should be every 3 years is plenty. $2,681.96 verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck, folks.
So the plaintiff, the accountant, wins the case. She's going to get her fee, the $2,681. Ms. Tuck, let me ask you, what are you thinking right now? You lost big time.
I think that it's a shame that the last board felt they could just pick and choose the bylaws that they chose to follow. But I do understand what the judge said.
All right, let's talk to the plaintiff. Ms. Sackstein, I guess you're glad you filed this lawsuit, aren't you?
I sure am. I just wanted to get paid for the work that I did.
Yeah, you had I was going to say, are you going to work for them again, do you think? If they
No,
come
sir.
here for another audit?
No, sir.
You're free. Okay. Well, congratulations. You got caught in the middle here, and that's kind of unfair, but you have prevailed, and good luck to you.
Doug, even if the judge felt that the condominium board hadn't officially approved the job before the plaintiff started, I think the plaintiff still would have gotten the reasonable value of her services, because under the law, if there's a feeling that the contract was approved, even if it isn't signed, sealed, and delivered, and work is done that benefits the defendant has to pay that reasonable value.
If three plaintiffs sue a defendant for $5,000, can Judge Milian award each of them $5,000, even though the limit is $5,000?
Okay, so the short answer, well, the answer is no.
Right.
You can never exceed the jurisdictional limit of whatever jurisdiction you're in. For example, if I am owed money by three defendants,
Right.
and I sue all three, and the amount of money I'm owed is $5,000. Those three guys borrowed $5,000 from me.
Right.
I can't get $5,000 from each of them, but they're each jointly and severally liable for the full $5,000.
Right, and with joint and several liability, that means you could, if two of them just disappeared, you could get the full $5,000
Right.
from the third one.
Which
or-
people sometimes think is unfair, but they acted in unison, and
Right.
they took that obligation together, and that's why each one of them,
Right.
individually is. Now, of course, the plaintiff can't make out with $5,000 that way.
No.
It's
no
only,
windfall.
Right.
But you could get a third from each of them. You could get it all from one of them, whatever
Yeah.
it takes, but you get paid.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the hard part isn't always getting the judgment. It's usually
collecting.
collecting the money.
Right, because you may end up with a lovely judgment that you can use as a doily for your beer.